What a beautiful day for a wedding. Two happy souls in love, promising to stay together as long as they both shall live. It's a sentiment that doesn't always work out in practice, and especially in Hollywood. In fact, hearing about celebrity marriages, it's one of the few times no news is probably good news, because that means no drama, no messy breakup. But for every 10 knockout, drag-out separations, there are some also love-struck couples that do remain happily married. And it's these stories that really tug at our Hollywood heartstrings. People very much in the limelight who make it work, for better or worse. From the doe-eyed adoration Sam Elliott felt when he first saw Catherine Ross, to the pretty, tumultuous Osbourne marriage that's somehow still going strong. These are the famous Hollywood couples that tie the knot and never let go. If you enjoy our nuptials, please say I do, to a thumbs up, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss a deep dive. But without further ado, let's see who is still together. Tom Hanks and Rita Wilson, 1988. A name that would mean a lot to America's national treasure, Tom Hanks. He may have lost a very special volleyball, but he gained a loyal wife named Rita. The two met through work in 1981, thanks to the sitcom Bosom Buddies. At that point, they were just friends, since Tom was already married and had 2 kids. But Tom and Rita immediately got along and became close. By 1987, Tom and his wife Samantha got divorced, and he married Rita the next year. In doing so, Rita became the stepmother to his 2 kids, Colin and Elizabeth. And so began a blended family, as Rita and Tom also have kids, Chet and Truman. But marrying Rita inspired Tom to change. He went through a deep depression after his divorce, and wasn't proud of the man he had become. But he says now his marriage with Rita is still going strong, saying it's not magic, there's a lot of work put into it. He explains, quote, "Our connection is as concrete as me sitting here." Some of Rita's favorite things about Tom is his humor and skill as a storyteller. He's also the partner who's told her she never has to change. That may be sappy, but it is sure as hell sweet. Sharon and Ozzy Osbourne, 1982. Plenty of couples get us going. Oh no, they broke up, but this one is maybe more disbelieving. Oh my God, they're still together. The Prince of Darkness, Ozzy Osbourne, is known for his wild, destructive behavior. That's followed him through meeting and marrying Sharon Osbourne. Sharon's father was actually managing Ozzy's band, Black Sabbath. Yes, when he got fired for substance abuse. He didn't take it well and responded by abusing substances for months locked in a hotel room. Well, Sharon actually played a part in talking him down, and they then began dating in 1979. The two were married on the 4th of July, 1982. And it's been, well, a hell of a ride. Remember we said, no news is good news, case in point, these two. It was 1989, and Ozzy woke up in a jail cell and had to ask officers why he was there. The charge: attempting to kill his wife. Sharon remembers not recognizing Ozzy that night. Apparently, he was really calm when he told her, quote, "We've come to a decision that you've got to die." Then reportedly, he went for her throat. Ozzy was put in treatment for half a year, and Sharon set an ultimatum moving forward. But things got dicey again in 2016, when he was unfaithful. But Sharon says they just make more sense together, and also adds, "I wasn't a saint. Ozzy wasn't a saint. I gave him as good as he gave me. We're just meant to be." Sam Elliott and Catherine Ross, 1984. Fate has a way of making things work out if it's messed up the first time. Sam Elliott and Catherine Ross's love story begins with Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid in '69. You'll remember Ross as Etta Place. But where was Sam? His credit there is the vague card player number 2. And the two could have talked then and there, but Sam felt totally unworthy, saying, quote, "I didn't dare try to talk to her then. She was the leading lady. I was a shadow on the wall. a glorified extra in a bar scene. Well, Sam got his chance with the 1978 horror flick The Legacy. This time, they were a couple, and Ross fell for his looks, his voice, and his personality. Catherine had been married 4 times before, marrying Sam in '84. And this couple is still together, married and proud parents. Certainly one of the most sexy Hollywood couples of all time. Okay, there I said it, so you don't have to. Jamie Lee Curtis and Christopher Guest, 1984. She's been the scream queen of Halloween for years, but Jamie Lee Curtis and her love story is definitely more suited for Valentine's Day. Do you believe in love at first sight? Because Jamie does. By the time she was a fearsome film star, Curtis and Halloween producer Deborah Hill were flipping through a magazine together. When she saw a picture of a guy she said had a, quote, waggish smile, she pointed and told Deborah, "I'm going to marry that man." Well, yeah, it was Christopher Guest, a mockumentary star, and, as it happens, a member of the House of Lords. Well, Deborah just so happened to have that talented comedian's contact information. But Christopher didn't take the bait, so Jamie Lee went on other dates. But then she bumped into Christopher while out for dinner. The two had history with that unreturned phone call hanging over them, but by July they were dating, and in 1984 they tied the knot. As for making it work for almost 40 years, Jamie Lee admits there's plenty of times she feels angry and hateful and ready to split. Her simple advice? Don't. She calls marriage a bus. If you wait on that bus long enough, the scenery will change. So in the same way, in a long marriage, it depends where it busts. That anger is not permanent. Some seriously sage advice. Denzel and Pauletta, Washington, 1983. He stopped runaway trains, neutralized baddies, equalized the odds, and Denzel Washington also proved that some Hollywood romances do last. The start of his and Pauletta's love story is actually doubly important for Denzel, as it was on set of the 1977 TV film Wilma, which was his very first on-screen job. But they crossed paths so little that Denzel calls it less of meeting and more of just seeing. But they had a mutual friend from the film and were invited to the same party, Denzel arriving fashionably late, of course, at the very end. But he got a chance to catch up with the beautiful Pauletta. Then they bumped into each other again. But Pauletta made him work, and he had to propose multiple times before she said yes. Both of them may remember it a bit differently, whether it was 2 or 3 times he asked, but they were married in 1983. For Pauletta, Denzel's looks were just a bonus. The real appeal came from his engaging personality. Samuel L. Jackson and LaTonya Richardson, 1980. Honey? What? Where is my supersuit? What? Where is my supersuit? What's lasted longer, Samuel L. Jackson's marriage or his affinity for foul language? Well, that's pretty difficult to answer because the Jurassic Park alum has been married to sweetheart LaTonya Richardson for a whopping 42 years. These two make up another set of college lovebirds and tie the knot in 1980. But it wasn't smooth sailing, especially when Jackson battled addiction. He gives all credit to LaTonya, who showed him strength and, quote, gave me the chance to be the man I was supposed to be. With so many stories about broken families out there, not just in Hollywood either, these two feel a sense of duty to change that norm. Jackson says they promised, quote, "We are going to stay together no matter what. We'll figure it out. It's two people who respect each other, love each other, and look out for each other." He is the second highest grossing actor in history, but the real currency he's rich in is love. Meryl Streep and Don Gummer, 1978. Some love stories prove joy finds us in the saddest times. Meryl Streep came from a family of pretty diverse backgrounds, but her 2 younger brothers became actors just like she did. And it's thanks to one of these bros she met her future sweetheart, Don. But first, tragedy. You see, in 1976, Meryl met and began dating John Cazale, who you will certainly recognize from The Godfather. And sadly, Cazale fell ill from lung cancer, and Streep was there with him when he died. She was then evicted from their shared apartment, and brother Harry was there for her. And along with him came a friend, Don Gummer. The actress and sculptor hit it off and moved in together, and 6 months later, they were married in 1978. Over the years, the happy couple welcomed 4 children together, and one anniversary after another. Jump to one of Meryl's award acceptance speeches in 2012. She gave a famously funny and tender shout-out to Gummer. First, I'm going to thank Don, because when you thank your husband at the end of the speech, they play him out with the "And I want him to know that everything I value most in our lives, you've given me." Wow, not everyone can say they have what these two do. Sometimes opposites attract, and no one proves that better than Dolly Parton and Carl Dean. One lives in the spotlight, and the other is, he's somewhere. Dolly's been in movies, she's done cooking collabs. Of course there's her stellar music career. And in contrast, her hubby Carl prefers to stay totally out of the spotlight. An asphalt contractor by trade, Carl's first meeting with Dolly was very clean, right outside a laundromat in 1964 during Dolly's first trip to Nashville. By her own admission, after 2 recent breakups, she just wanted clean clothes, not romance. But when Carl saw her, he immediately knew they would marry someday. The two even made a long-distance relationship work when Carl had to enlist in the army. Dolly was so love-struck she could hardly see. Her love was uncontainable, but they wanted to keep this part of their life under wraps, and so married in a small ceremony in 1966. Even though Carl stays out of the spotlight, proof of their love is evident in several Dolly Parton songs, even if he prefers Led Zeppelin to country. Because at home, the two cook together, mostly with Carl serving as cleanup crew for Dolly's wild kitchen experiments. So yeah, I think Jolene's not gonna take this man. Bob Newhart and Virginia Quinn, 1963, the guy that is known for his deadpan delivery. But if there was one woman who could inspire some emotion in Bob, it is Virginia Quinn. What's the proof? Their nearly 60-year marriage. And we can thank actor Buddy Hackett for setting these two up, all thanks to a blind date. When Quinn, who babysat Buddy's kids, had actually been seeing someone at the time, but Hackett was pretty sure he nailed this matchmaking, and I'd have to agree. And so would their 4 kids and 10 grandchildren. According to Bob, the secret ingredient is laughter, adding, quote, "There's something about laughter and the longevity of a marriage." Alda and Weiss, 1957. Is there anything as sweet as love? I know a botched rum cake that comes close. If you've seen our content about MASH or You Don't Live Under a Rock, you know Alda is a pretty big deal. But not just for his acting chops, but also his marriage. An impressive feat like theirs happened because of one messy accident. When the two were in college, a mutual friend of theirs threw a party. The dessert took a tumble, and they were left with rum cakes splattered on the floor. Alan and Arlene didn't see anything wrong with that, and dug in together. The fact that Arlene laughed at his jokes sealed the deal for Alan, and a year later, in 1957, they married. The two are like a modern-day Romeo and Juliet. How Arlene tells it, quote, "Boys from Manhattan didn't date girls from the Bronx." That was a given. It was too long of a trip. He took me home to the Bronx. Unheard of. While Hollywood and cheating sometimes feel like they go hand in hand, Alan Alda is insulted at the very idea and said, quote, "People make a promise to get married, stay married, live through thick and thin, and that when things get tough, a deal is a deal." These days it seems Hollywood couples say, "I do," again and again, and one more time, I guess. It's less often that couples stay together for life. But there are some love stories out there that defy the norms and make it work in the infamously unsteady limelight. So who have been your favorite Hollywood couples to track over the years? What do you think their secret is to making it work? And which couple had the most disappointing breakup? Get in the comments and tell us your thoughts. And before you go, if you enjoyed our video, please give it a thumbs up, it really helps. And say a vow of subscription so you can join us reminiscing again. But from all of us here at Do You Remember, we want to thank you for watching.